This is Jason Faulkner, aka Shop Weasel. I thought I found a good YouTube video movie this morning, and I misread the title. I thought it said Perched. I was like, well, there's a quaint little concept, another piranha type movie, but perched. And I misread it, and it was really parched. Parched, like you're dying of thirst or something. I was like, yeah, that's going to be a real shitter of a movie. Who wants to see someone dry up? But it was just a bunch of young hoodlums making another environmentalism shoddy effort, and about the water quality in Tampa and around Florida and all that. I guess I don't know. I didn't watch much of it, but just a bunch of tattooed ghouls and freaks vaping and dry lush druggies, stuff like that. Midlife crisisers that don't like what they're about, and they just champion artificial effort into environmentalism, much like Greta. But I'm making a long rant video. Why the hell not? It's just another day. My business efforts are muted another day. I'm surrounded by totally corrupt, high condensed racial groups, of spoiltness and rottenness and whatever. Open corruption. That's their affluent free market is corruption. But that's not me. That's not what I'm about. That's what I'm fighting. But they're all around and they're just robots now. So, you know, they get a little whisper of an order from up above and they enact on it like it's a grail or a quest or something to totally persecute a person. It's sort of a sport. I guess it's sadistic fun to them, but whatever. I shrug it off. I'm a big boy. I've lived a long life and I've seen a lot of shit and I've survived a lot of shit, so it doesn't bother me. But more importantly, I invested in myself and have become quite affluent in that sort of realm, and that's a proud accomplishment, at least to me, that I am a viable tangent, effective performer in that arena of business and success. Even though I'm coldly as cold as it is outside, I'm about that coldly artificially prohibited from any amount of measurable success. So whatever. It's an artificial effort that they have to utilize, and it's like that horror movie, the Umbrella Corporation and zombies and shit, and that first one where the guy unleashes the ultimate bioweapon on society because he knows, like I know, or at least he portrays in the movie, he knows, like I know, that nothing ever changes. And that's not necessarily true, but that's the super overall impersonation that they like to maintain in society. Nothing ever changes. But that's not true. But if something did change, like I found success, they would quietly oblique that event, which doesn't bother me. I don't care if you all out there know that I've ever reached success or not. It's none of your business, really. It's my business. But I'm still optimistic. It's a beautiful day. We're in for 3 days of extreme cold nights, which I'm bunkered up here in this little shoddy ass camper and have been for years, and I'm fine for now. But I'd rather be in a mansion in South Florida in the Keys or somewhere, that 3-story estate that people drive by and just sort of cringe, like, I know I'll never get there. I used to do that when I was young. I would see all that and I would be like, and that was when they had everyone misdirectioned into the drug culture. You want to be a drug dealer, a gang banger, a street thug, or a crooked business person. And I quickly learned that none of that was cut from my cloth. But yeah, over the years, I kept my nose pointed and my conscience working to sort of guide me into what I'm really about. And a lot of these people, they find quick artificial success like Parched. They're burnout drug lushes that have hit the bottom of the barrel for a prolonged period of time until, I guess they're just sort of succeeded at selling drugs, using drugs, making druggies, and at some point they kept favor with the corruption in our society, the affirmative action conduit, and they said, well, let's sort of make you legitimate and give you some new direction, and they try to make movies and all this and that, or they got a new $1 million boat or a new mansion, and that's our entertainment in life, watching others like that be artificially manipulated up, down, and sideways. And there it is. Then there's people like me outside of that arena of the affirmative action conduit that makes great strides at what should be success, and they artificially moot those efforts on the other side of the coin. And our leadership plays both sides of the coin and engineers people to enjoy both sides of that coin. And it's just, if you're conditioned to sniff out that the identity of these characters pretty quickly, you can see it. Something's in my water dish. That would be a dove, just sitting there probably wishing he had something drinkable that wasn't frozen by this time, or waiting for it to thaw enough. I don't know. I done put a big pot of water out there once, and I did not heat it, but whatever. It's going to be warm today, 47, 49, 50 maybe. I gave them 2 feedings yesterday out there on my deck, and just because I knew it was going to get cold and I had a little extra food available for them, and they're healthy and fattening up real nice through the harshest portion of winter, so I'm not too concerned about anything out there. Again, this is Jason Faulkner, aka Shop Weasel, and I'm making a rarity, another long video, which I don't make many of anymore because people just tend not to watch them. They're more likely paid or ordered to watch my shorts. But that's been nullified now, and I really don't have much viewership whatsoever, and I'm making the best efforts that I've ever had to work with now. So I don't let it, that's not a worry to me, all that, I'm gliding into hopefully success, whether I have the whole establishment against me or for me. And excuse me. And I've further adapted my shopping bag holders to a more elaborate gathering of accompanying accessories, such as the sink divider holder, which you just sort of press it on your sink divider in your kitchen, and then you insert the shopping bag holder in it, and that pretty much leaves a fixed receptacle in your sink. So, like, if you're wanting to dump grease or prepare food or scrap cuttings or whatever in a 1 or 2 or 3 shopping bags, or like I do, I freeze my stuff in freezer bags, and when I take it out of the freezer bag, I've got an empty durable bag that can hold hot grease marginally. It's not going to hold a pan full of frying bacon fat, that would set anything on fire, but it would hold a pan full of 5-minute cooled on the stove bacon fat without any disaster, especially if it's in 1 or 2 shopping bags, and I carefully put the used freezer bag inside it. I roll the lip inside the bag toward the top once I'm done with the freezer bag, so I can pour my hot grease into it after it's already in a shopping bag, and it keeps it clean and manageable where grease don't get on everything, and it's an easy way to dispose of it. Or the other new elaborate dustpan attachment for the Shopweasel shopping bag holders, which allows you to sweep your dust right into the bag. Well, we ain't seeing it. Why aren't you showing it to us? Well, I've showed everybody enough for now. Enough for an investor to make an investment off the merits of what I've developed already. And if the information isn't enough for them to want to invest in these other additional features that are very profitable and sensible, and just by the concepts can actually physically move the profit margin and potential of my product without it being seen. So, am I going to go out and cobble this stuff together when, I already have the solid foundation of my product established? Why would I do that? That's just like inviting people to further maliciously predate on my efforts. We'll just leave it said and not seen. And if an investor wants to throw money at me, they'll damn sure see it. And variations of it until they're satisfied. That's what matters. Anyway, that's not what this video is about anyway. That's just good, useful intelligence putting that information in this video. This video is about me just sitting here, day after day after day, while life goes on around me in this affirmative action culture blindly. And, it's going to do what it's going to do anyway. It's more like a robot and these individuals in it. So, no matter what happens in society, how they engineer these events and direct the consensus toward or from, I think even an asteroid, an Earth-killing asteroid hitting this planet, probably wouldn't affect much, not until it was over. Everybody'd still wake up and go about their day in their artificial simulated workshop programmed lives. Yeah, that's it. That's the way it goes. Pretty peaceful here. I have a lingering resentment toward all these artificial people that have inquired about my place for sale, and they really weren't interested in my place for sale, because that would be a duty outside of the norm for them. It's just placated, artificial placation by the establishment. And I think this place really offends the very notion of them buying a place off someone unaffiliated with their social conditioning is an offensive thought for these people when they're brought up on, well, when they go ask for a job and get a salary, it's minimum wage. But what we've been trained in the artificial affirmative action conduit is, are we being treated right? 20, 30 an hour job. When we look for a place, it's got a new home on it. And it's going to be prime and perfect and pristine. And we might be degenerate scumbags, but we're membership of the affirmative action conduit. We might not pay that place off. We might leave it blown apart. And we might fail again in life and decide to go on vacation 10 times this year and ruin our financial situation that we've been reaffirmed with by the corruption that lifted us out of squalor once before, twice before, 10 times before, every other year. Who knows how they do it? Don't care. And, that's all right. We know that they'll pick us back up by our little knapsacks again and dust us off because we're members. And I think that's the situation with this place. I dropped it another 1,000. I thought 16,000's ridiculously giving it away, but even now that it's surveyed, nah, they have no interest in it. Not really. Nah, just another guy that doesn't count, that isn't a member. Doesn't go to the social circles, isn't a hardcore druggie that doesn't flinch from Bob breaking out the meth pipe in the yard and barfing his puke and whatever. No, and I'll never be that guy. No. No. Yeah, it ain't nothing new. I think I'll call this video quits. I'm just waiting for it to warm up. I'm going to uncover my car, run to town today, run my ad on the Tradio show, listen to that arrogant jackass condemn me for calling on a Monday as if it's some sort of artificial mandatory thing for me not to call on a Monday. I've been using them for 20 years. I know what they're all about. It's a scummy culture out here, They diverted the Vietnamese movies to me as if to say you're just a dirty gook. But I'm glad they did because that's an intriguing people over there. Very entertaining. And then I watched some of the Florida Keys, and they're really no different neither. A lot of them are like Vietnamese. They're mostly South American blends of the Scottish wandering tool of the internationalist. The Scots, they blend with just about everything, and the Germans too. Nah, doesn't bother me. The only thing different between South Florida and Vietnam, besides the water clarity and the heavy splice population of people, multiracial splice, is that South Florida has a different style and demand of boats than the Vietnamese. The Vietnamese, they just they don't care if their boat is a fiberglass yacht from Hatteras or Viking or whoever, Tierra, any trendy thing. They're more of a South Florida. They're more of a social arrogant demand, Where Vietnamese, they're like, yeah, well, your boat's 50 years old and you want to sell it for $5,000. And it might be a 100-foot boat. I mean, and South Florida, they're like, well, your boat isn't $150,000. There's something wrong with it. And it isn't sparkling brand new. And what's wrong? But then you got the heavy, fishing guys. They're like, well, yeah, your boat looks like shit. You want a little too much for it, maybe 20,000 too much, but we've got it covered because we're in the affirmative action conduit. We're just wanting a banger boat for a year or two, and then we throw it away like we do houses. Oh, and the Vietnamese people, they're like, we got grandfathered our dead uncle's boat, and we're going to restore it. But whatever, I'm just rambling now. Jason Faulkner, aka Shop Weasel from East Tennessee. Make of my video what you will, but there it is. Have a good one.